Hey everybody, it's the Doll Boy, and today I'm gonna show you my extremely long limited edition Rapunzel Reroot with 1 meter and 15 centimeter long hair. I have done these extremely long Rapunzel Reroots in the past already, but those were always the cheaper, smaller scale versions. And this, so far, is my record-breaking hair length, and the first time I'm doing an extreme reroot like this on a limited edition Disney doll. I bought this Rapunzel doll almost 4 years ago already, and in that video, I also unboxed her and restyled her hair. Right out of the box, when it was still in that braid, I could feel that those ends were gonna be a nightmare to style and smooth out. That's why I basically braided that hair up and kept it in that braid for over 3 years. I recently did take out the braid and restyled the hair a couple of times. But as I expected, I was not able to keep those ends looking nice. So I really wanted to just chop off the hair as soon as possible and give her the reroot Rapunzel deserves. Before doing this, I did want to tackle 2 things. One of those was being able to find the perfect hair color for Rapunzel, because in my 2 previous long hair reroots, I was never truly satisfied with the hair color that I used. So for this one, I made sure to find and make several shades of blonde to find that perfect match to Rapunzel's original hair color. Then my second major doubt was the fact that I've never rerooted a limited edition doll before. That's why I used a more affordable Cinderella limited edition doll to be my test dummy as my very first limited edition doll reroot. I chose Cinderella because I've wanted to reroot one of her already, and she definitely has a hair length that's much more achievable than Rapunzel's one. After finishing that Cinderella doll so successfully, I did have enough confidence to try to bring my dream vision for Rapunzel to life. If you want to see the process and end result of that Cinderella reroot, please subscribe to my channel and watch my previous video for more details. For this Rapunzel reroot, I bought a bunch of different shades of blondes and ended up using Flaxen Blonde, Wheat Blonde, and Honey Lust blend. When ordering from TheDollPlanetHair, I requested for them not to cut the hair at their usual 36-inch length, because I wanted to try and reroot Rapunzel with even longer strands than that 36-inch. That's why they sent me the hair in one continuous long strand that I would be able to custom cut into the length I wanted. And let me give you a warning about this, because this can get very messy very quickly. If you want to order your own reroot hair, you can now do so with a 10% discount when you use the code TheDollBoy10 and stay around till the end of the video for a doll hair giveaway. To cut the hair I ordered to the right length, I went into my kitchen and used one of the drawers that is 80 centimeters wide and 20 centimeters high to ensure I would be able to cut the hair at 2 meters long, since I would be using the folding method on Rapunzel, giving it a 1 meter length. To keep all the hair very neat while unwinding it, I took 2 boxes that I folded into each other, allowing it to slide in and out to create the perfect width to hold the hair. Then I find the beginning of the hair and tape that to the side of the drawer. and then I simply make circles around this drawer until all the hair is rolled off. Then when I undid all of the hair, I cut it in one spot, so I have all the strands at 2 meters long. For each bag of hair that I wanted to do, it took me about half an hour, and I did this for 8 bags of hair. And then I made the biggest mistake during this entire process, which was mixing the colors of this extremely long hair together. Because I wanted to make a super nice blonde color blend, I decided to mix 1 hank of each blonde color together, but when I was brushing these long hanks together, the ends completely tangled up on me. I tried everything I could think of, from brushing it dry to brushing it wet, and from adding conditioner to fabric softener to boiling water, but in the end I just gave up and decided to start working on her with the regular 36-inch hair. As you can imagine, I was heartbroken, especially after spending so much time on getting that super long Rapunzel hair. I did feel pretty happy though with this length, because I was easily able to mix together several shades of blonde, and this length is much easier to handle and still can give me a Rapunzel length that's longer than her body, which was my main concern in the first place. After getting over that initial disappointment of this shorter length, I decided to just go ahead and cut off all Rapunzel's hair as short as possible to really prepare this doll for her reroot. When I cut all the hair, you can clearly tell that I kept the eyelashes as long as they originally were. I now dip the head in boiling water to soften up the plastic so I can try to take the head off the body. With these limited edition dolls, the neck bags are extra wide and sturdy, so it is a bit harder for me to take the head off the body than I'm used to for 12-inch dolls. With the head separated from the body and still squishy, I take my forceps pliers and start scraping the inside of the doll's head to pull all that leftover hair to the inside of the head. In this step, I'm extra careful not to touch the front of the face, because I do want to keep those original eyelashes if I can. Pulling all the hair to the inside like this gives you such a clean result already, but all that junk is still on the inside of the head. So now I'm opening up my forceps pliers and pulling all that leftover stuff out of the head. For these limited edition Disney dolls, they don't really glue the inside of the head, so sometimes it comes out in very small portions. I do dip the head back in the warm water to make the hair stick together a bit more, because that makes it much easier to take it out in bulk. Then once the hair is all prepped, I now go ahead and lay down a lot of very thin strands for the hairline. When that's done, I take my bald doll head and my reroot tool from TheDollPlanetHair. Since Rapunzel's doll on the hairline are very thin, I'm taking my needle size number 5, which is slightly smaller than the one I used for the inside of the head. Then, to make sure I get as much length as I can with this regular hair, I'm gonna explain my technique using this ribbon. Normally, I wrap a strand of hair around my finger, making both ends of the hair the same length, resulting in a very even fullness from root to end, and a length that's the exact halfway point of the total hair strand, But now, to increase the length, I'm gonna wrap it at different points, keeping one end very short and one end being super long. This does make the end look a little thinner, because in this case you don't have both of the strands going all the way to the end. Then to actually add the hair to the head, I wrap a strand of hair around my finger, pick it up with the reroot tool, and push it into one of the holes in the hairline. I am also taking the body for reference to make sure that the short end doesn't become too short, because I don't want to have hair sticking out. So I'm trying to not go shorter than her waist. As I mentioned, for the hairline, I'm using very thin sections because the original strands were super thin and rooted very close to each other, and I don't want to cause any rips in that hairline. So I'm being extremely careful while rooting. After finishing that bottom hairline, this is the hair length that I achieved. Compared to the body, you can see that it's slightly longer, which I was already pretty happy with. After doing that full hairline, it already looked so satisfying. And now is the time for me to tackle the part line. Again, this part line was rooted super dense with very small holes. And originally she had a thatched part line. For me, I prefer to have just one row rooted and split in half, because in the long run, I can keep that neat much easier than having to rethatch this extremely long hair. That's why I only root one row of hair, starting with very thin sections, and then just adding in more hair a second time or third time around to get the fullness that I want. Then when I've added all the hair I wanted to the part line, I just split it in half to reveal the nice and neat look. And now is the time to just keep filling the inside of the head. And while doing this, I also experimented in different ways to get the length as long as possible. Some of those experiments failed, but I did manage to use the packs of the super long hair that I didn't mix before, because when being very careful, I did manage to separate those long strands into small pieces that I could use for the reroot. As you can see in the hairline, this was the longest length I managed to get when rooting in my specific technique, which almost reaches 2 times the length of the doll's body. But then adding those custom cut strands makes it almost 2.5 times the body, which is definitely a big achievement for me. Because I did root the hairline and part line in the way that makes the ends go thinner, I did not have to worry at all with the blend of those longer pieces. I also did alternate, with some pieces being split exactly in the middle, other pieces being more like 1/3 and 2/3, and also some pieces being even more extreme, almost using that entire length of the originally cut hair length. That really made sure that each strand had a different length, resulting in very nicely feathered ends that allow the shorter lengths to blend in with those extremely long strands perfectly. To make sure the entire hair looks long with no obvious layers, I make sure to alternate rows of the short reroot hair and the longer reroot hair, making sure that at least the row behind the hairline and part line are in that extremely long hair, because that will give the illusion of all the hair being super long. Then when all the hair is finally in, I twist everything out of the way to prepare myself for adding the Fabri-Tac glue to the inside of the head. I swirl it around for an even coverage, also making sure I glue the front of the face to keep those eyelashes in place. Then I take a Q-tip to spread all that around on the inside of the head. This Q-tip did get stuck on some glued hair, so I decided to cut it out. And now I let it dry for at least 24 hours. While the glue inside of Rapunzel's head is drying, I wanted to go ahead and make some extra braids that I can incorporate into her hairstyles. For this, I'm mixing the Wheat Blonde and Flaxen Blonde hair together. That's the regular 36-inch length. I mix those two colors together very well until I have a nicely blended, highlighted look. As you can see, at first the ends are very blunt, and I want to make sure the ends are very nicely feathered, just like the regular hair. To achieve this, I lay some strands on my table, folded at different points, and then mix them back together, brushing it out super well. And as you can see, now there are a lot of shorter and longer pieces in the hair, and there's no harsh line in the ends anymore. I split this pack of hair into one thicker and one thinner strand, because I want to create a thick and a thin braid. I take about half of the thicker pack, wrap that around my camera stand, so I can start braiding the hair in a regular 3-strand braid. The other half of this pack I split into a lot of thinner strands that I can now feed into this braid as the braid is getting thinner. This allows me to keep the same volume for a very long time, as well as adding length while I go. I keep braiding the hair like this until I've used about half of the small strands, and then I tie the ends off with an elastic band. I do the exact same thing for the other side to make sure I have one very long braid that goes thinner towards the ends on both sides. That is almost the same length as Rapunzel's extremely long hair. I also made a thinner version of this braid, so I have a nice variety when I want to create hairstyles on this doll. Then, after waiting for a full day, I take a clean Q-tip to feel if the glue on the inside of the head is dry, and when that's the case, it's finally time for Rapunzel's head to go back on her body. I take down that twist and brush all of her hair out, and then I take some boiling water to dip the top of the head in to really lock that part line in place and reduce a bit of the volume at the top, because I like to have my doll's hair lay nice and flat. This also is the perfect time to slightly style those eyelashes in case they got messy during the reroot process. I comb out all of Rapunzel's hair, but as you can see, I do not dunk all of the length into the boiling water, because I simply don't like boil washing nylon hair as it can get pretty frizzy. And with that, I finished my Extreme Rapunzel Reroot on a limited edition doll, and I honestly couldn't be happier with the outcome. I am also hosting a very exciting giveaway in collaboration with TheDollPlanetHair. And for this video, I've decided to give away a nice collection of pink hair, including 3 packs of metallic coral, 3 packs of metallic blush pink, and 1 pack of crab pink. And all you need to do is let me know in the comments down below who you would be planning to reroot in these colors. I definitely feel like the frustration of this process was very well worth it, and I really hope you'll love the outcome too. If you do love it as much as I do, please make sure to subscribe to my channel, comment down below which Disney princess you want to see a makeover for next, and follow me on Instagram as well, @TheDollBoy. See you next time!